Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. I'm Gerry. Max and Terry are here. We have to talk starting 11 versus Leicester. So, Terry, who do you think Silva is going to roll with? I'm assuming it's not the same ones he went with on Tuesday.
No, certainly not. I mean, no one really forced their way in from that performance. Nice and easy, I think, after the Fulham win. Pickford in goal. Kenny and Luca Dean as fullbacks with Keane and Zuma centre-backs. Midfield three of Tom Davies, Idrissa Gueye and Gylfi Sigurdsson. Theo Walcott on the right, Richarlison on the left. And the only change, it's by no means set in stone because you don't change a winning team, or a lot of managers don't. And Calvert-Lewin does provide some good pressing, especially away from home, as he did against Arsenal. But I think, given his goal against Fulham, I think the one change will be Tosin will start up front instead of Calvert-Lewin. That's probably the only change I think will happen, if any at all.
All right, so moving on to Max. Max, if you want to talk for a really long time about your really different lineup.
All right, so first I've got Martin Stekelenburg in goal. Money messing. Is that exact same as Terry? Literally no changes at all. You don't change a winning team. Obviously, with the exception of the goal scorer Tosin coming in for Calvert-Lewin. If Mina's fit, would you put him in? Would you
on the bench?
Changing it?
I'll put him on the bench. It certainly wouldn't start him. Not against Vardy.
I agree. And another train of thought I've got is about the midfield. Obviously, we were talking then about how kind of athletic that Leicester midfield is. Starting Tom Davies, would he get overrun?
I mean, it's a possibility, but where do you go?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't see what the other options are. I mean, Schneiderlin could come in, but he's not as mobile as Davies. Whatever you say about Davies, like he hasn't got as much pace as Davies have got, and the midfield pairing for Leicester, they're not really the type of players who Schneiderlin sort of works well against. He's more you put him against a footballer. Their two are very athletic and very fast and very strong. Where that's not to say Tom Davies is, but I think he may be a better fit alongside Gueye against them. I mean, as good a fit as we've got anyway.
Yeah. With Gomez and Mina still potentially fictitious. Right now, we're just under the impression that Gomez is just some dashing-looking dude, and Mina is like an Instagram celebrity. I'd love to watch them play football sometime. That'd be crazy. That'd be nuts. Damn, I just want to see them. I just want to see them play.
Hear that when the international breaks on next week, that they might be in a behind closed doors friendly for the two of them to start getting their first minutes in. I mean, that's a good. I mean, considering that'd be the first time they kick the ball for it, it's hopefully come through unscathed and they can start coming into the first team soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed nobody stamps on anybody's foot.
Oh my gosh, that behemoth Bernard. What was he thinking? With his gigantic hulking frame, putting down all his weight onto Mina's foot, his dainty, gigantic foot. I haven't said my lineup. I am different than you guys, as usual, but only by one. I'm not going to change the winning team at all. I'm going to leave DCL in. Just for stretching and pressing. That would be my reasoning for that. And only because I think if Tosin had a solid game on Tuesday where he looked really impressive, I think it would have been a no-brainer that Tosin definitely starts. Now I actually think there's more of a question. At least I think it's a decision Silva has to make. If Tosin had scored 2 against Southampton, I would say, no, play Tosun Pasha right now, because he'd be rolling. But now, at least I think there's a conversation to be had about it, Again, he's more clinical. He's more experienced. I love the guy. but it just depends on how Silva wants to play. You
Yeah.
know, that's really all it boils down to.
Especially coming up against, if it's Morgan and Harry Maguire as well. I fancy Dominic Calvert-Lewin to win the physical battles between. He's certainly in with a better shout, I think, of winning, say, aerial duels than Tosin is against them too. But
about the aerial duels, I didn't think of that. Their centre backs might be more uncomfortable against Calvert-Lewin, not because he's a better player than Tosin. He's just faster, isn't he? And he
That was my thinking.
And then he's yeah, exactly. Yeah, I might change my lineup now, Gerry. No, I think I can see them just sticking with the same thing, just because he might make them a little bit more uncomfortable than Tosin, and Tosin coming on late in the game, as he did against Fulham, might be more effective against those two.
I'll be really curious, with the way Marco likes to operate up the flanks with Richarlison and Walcott. Can their right and left backs hang with them? Do we really think Ben Chilwell can stick with Walcott? I've seen Chilwell look great, and I've seen him just get skinned by people. And Walcott is a guy who tends to, it's a basketball term here, posterize, where, when you go up and dunk on somebody and they're just, they've been posterized. Yeah. But so it wouldn't surprise me if Walcott posterizes Chilwell here. I know he's a good young player, but speed has gotten to him at times, So, yeah. Any other interesting bit? I'll be psyched to see Sigurdsson come back in.
Yeah. Sure. Obviously, you're hoping he'll deliver with the run of form he's in as well, and I've got a feeling he just might.
This might be the game he surprises us, Silva, and plays Richarlison through the middle, just to really upset their preparation. Have Richarlison through the middle with Bernard on the left with Walcott. It's unorthodox, but it'd be not the type of three that players like Morgan and Maguire will want to play against. Very fluid, very tippy-tappy type of forwards and fast forwards, whereas Tosin's more traditional as a striker and plays up against the centre-back, which is what they'd like. Mm-hmm. I mean, probably not, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm refusing to predict that now after I heard Silva's response to it in a press conference where he was like, oh, I see why you're saying that, but, you know what I mean? It's like, so he's like, well, I know he can do that. You're right. He did that for Brazil. You know what I mean? So I'm waiting for him to actually do it, for him to actually pay some of that off, to say, this is where I'm going to start until I actually start picking that. You know what I mean? But you know what, though? It would throw them off. It would throw them off, and if any of the players from Tuesday earned a right to start, it's Bernard. And I'm going to start saying Bernard now.
Please don't.
I say Bernard now. That's a thing. Anyway. All right. So I guess that's it for our starting 11 segment. Unless you... Luka Dean. I want to see him put some tasty... Oh, gosh. I almost worded this really poorly. I almost said put some tasty balls in the middle. And I'm not saying that now. I am anxious to see him do some good set plays with his left foot in a very non-sexual way. So yeah, I guess that's it for our starting 11 segment versus Leicester. Maybe one of us will be right. If you're digging the videos, please subscribe. We're just over 1,200, like 1,210 right now, climbing our way slowly toward 1,300. So thank you for that. Also, please check out Terry. Check him out. Just check him out. All right. Keep an eye on his Twitter feed, because he'll be posting when he shows up at different places, especially on the Liverpool Echo fan jury. So check that out. Max also is places. Check his Twitter feed as well. In the Toffee Blues website, he drops knowledge on there often. He's very consistent. So look for him there. So we're about to move over to the podcast to do a pod exclusive segment. So if you want to see the quiz, if you know your history between Max and Terry, cage match, showdown, switch over to the podcast now. Anyway, that's it, gentlemen. I'll see you later. So Bye.